Welcome to the Football Show on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel, sponsored by Indigo Communications. I'm Peter Martin. Tam McManus is alongside Alan Ruff. It's Friday. We're getting ready for the beginning of the World Cup. Really looking forward to it, and hopefully you can hit the subscribe button, because we will be with you throughout the tournament, giving you updates, giving you our thoughts on some of those key games, and of course enjoying your company as you engage with us and other people who are on our feed. So thanks to Errol and Keith and so many others. Mark has joined us, Marlon, lots of people looking and enjoying the fact that today we seem to have nailed our colours to the mast, although you couldn't get your Brazil top on, could you?
No, this is just my second choice.
Oh yeah.
They're my second choice. They're not I have my first choice on Monday.
Yeah, Brazil?
No, Argentina. It's going to be Argentina, I think.
Yeah, yep. Okay. And Tam, you're happy with your new top? You say you don't get too many things at PLZ. You get staff parties, you get nights out, you get a PFA.
Yeah, usually charge me. I will be expecting this to be docked at my wages. Grieve Sports minus 100.
Honestly, Ruffy doesn't realise the things that come his way. He takes them for granted.
Yeah, I know. He just comes in, picks anything he wants, and goes out the door.
Absolutely, you're not wrong there. Anyway, it's a tournament that we're really looking forward to, and we'll be with you all the way in. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button as well. And the great news is we'll be covering it with our reporters as well, giving us little insights into the key players, the young players to look out for, the older players that are playing in this tournament, maybe for the last time. We're also going to be looking at things domestically as well today, so by all means give us your view on your favourite team or anything you want to talk about, and we will try and give you as honest an answer as possible. Now, with that in mind, there's a great quiz. As ever, we always like to test your knowledge, and here is our quiz question for today. We'll give you the answer. Name the only two teams to have won the World Cup once. So there are two teams who've won the World Cup only once. If you can give us the answer, well done to you. As far as the competition is concerned, our girl Kerry has all the details for you now.
PLZ Soccer has teamed up with our friends at Grieve Sports and Copa to offer you the fabulous chance to win one of these retro World Cup shirts if you enter our new hat-trick competition. All you have to do is tell us who you think will win the World Cup, be crowned player of the tournament, and who will be top goal scorer. The person who gets all three correct will win a voucher to pick their own shirt from the Copa shop, and even if you don't get all three correct, you can still enter the draw by subscribing to PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. We have 6 vouchers to give away, so all you have to do is enter your answers in the comment section below or subscribe to our YouTube channel. Good luck.
See, we don't hang about here, Ruffy.
No,
as soon as you get the deal done, it's done.
Things move so quickly for 10 o'clock this morning.
You happy with that?
Oh, it's fantastic, and I'm sure a lot of people will be happy to win any of these strips. They're actually tremendous quality.
Yeah, I'll tell you one thing I've noticed about them, Ruffy. They're quite thick and really good quality as well. So, and I think there's a real enthusiasm for retro stuff, isn't there, Tam?
There is. Everything you see online, the old retro strips, the old strips are going for a fortune. And the retro strips, I think the Classic Football Strips is a company on Twitter. That's a great company. Yeah. They've got all the classics as well, and it's really popular with people now, the retro tops rather than the brand new ones.
Absolutely, but we've decided that Greaves and Copa are our partners, Ruffy, which is magic.
Yeah, fantastic partnership. Been friends of the Greaves family for a long time, and they're always supportive of anything in football, in Scottish football.
Yeah, absolutely. So, with that in mind, all you have to do is, of course, hit the subscribe button, and we'll have the competition on our Facebook page as well as our Twitter, and you can like, share and follow there, or indeed you can definitely put your answer in on the feed here, and we'll be looking and saying, okay, who is your top scorer, who's your player of the tournament, and who is the team you think are going to win the World Cup. Good wee tournament, lots to talk about. We're going to talk about the World Cup shortly, but a couple of things I want to read out. Hi Peter and Ruffy, this was my 50th birthday present and I'll treasure it as long as I live. It's a King Kenny shirt, signed It's a Scotland top, so he signed it for his 50th. It's an amazing present from my wife. I thought I'd send you the picture, as I know he's your hero too, Peter, and Alan was lucky enough to be in the same team as him. Thanks again for your content. It's really helped me through some difficult times, so I really appreciate your work, even if I disagree with some of what Tam says. but I don't normally agree with him. And he says my World Cup pick is Argentina, and he says the top scorer is Lautaro Martinez. I wonder who you think is going to be player of the tournament. That's Mike Harrison. Mike, thank you very much for that. We really do appreciate people actually sending us in little messages like that, even though he doesn't like what you've got to say, Tam.
That's fine. Listen, nobody likes what I've got to say. But no, that's great. It's a great jersey, and I hope he's right with the Argentina shout, because that's who I fancy. And Martinez is a striker. I think he might be up there as well. So I think that might be a shrewd couple of picks here for Mike.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I really don't want to get to a situation, if I'm honest with you, Ruffy. I haven't really looked, and said to myself, I can't see past Brazil, but I want Argentina to win, so I've picked Argentina. I want Messi to finally get that World Cup. It's a wee bit of sentimental, picking of my favourite team.
Yeah, and I think there will be people out there really, really studying the forum, who won what group and who did they beat in that group. South America teams, would always results and everything and where that league was going. So as far as the quality is concerned, I think we have to wait until we see some of them actually playing their first games, but certainly there's loads of quality out there. And as I said, I looked at the Argentinian squad, and the majority of the players that are in that squad are playing with fantastic sides.
I think I heard a stat yesterday that the last four maybe or five World Cups have been won by European teams. So South American teams have had a great record in the World Cup in recent terms of winning it.
Yeah.
But maybe that will change, obviously. I think going over there, I think it'll be more difficult for the European teams.
I think we're going back to 2002 for Brazil. Here's Mike's top that he got as a present for his 50th. That's good, Ruffy. Signed by Kenny as well. In fact, I would say that's the retro 1974 top. Is that fair?
Yeah, it's not far off the 78 one either.
I know the
badge. I mean, the collar's sort of similar. The big badge is sort of a reminisce of the old Scotland-England days, and Jim Baxter had that big badge when they all played for Scotland. But no, it's a super strip, and if Kenny signed it, it wouldn't matter what year it was. If he signed it, that's the bee's knees. Yeah,
so not a bad present for your 50th, eh?
Aye, brilliant. His wife's done well there.
Yeah, well done. Lots of brownie points from your wife. Eddie McCluskey, who is basically saying, hi boys, could I ask a favour if possible? My dad, Hugh McCluskey, is from Port Glasgow and he's an avid fan of the show. He never misses it. He never gets out due to illness. Your show is so important to him. He loves it. I was in Cork 2 weeks ago to meet a mutual friend of me and my dad's, Mick Conroy, who's an ex-Celtic player, and he says Mick kindly gave me a medal to give to my dad from him. Ruffy might remember Mick as he scored a great goal against him at Celtic Park. You can see it on YouTube. You remember?
Yeah, I think Mick was there when I was there in the centenary year. And I think we played in a couple of games together. Good lad, Mick, good fun to be out with.
And he says, I understand it's busy with many people making comments and asking for things. It would mean the world to my dad. He loves you guys. And that's all the best from Eddie McCluskey in Motherwell. So Eddie, for your dad Hugh, great that you're with us, Hugh. Thank you very much for supporting us. We really do appreciate everyone who is into the programme, young and old, and we're getting them from everywhere, Ruffy. Young team, old team, everybody mixed in. Male, female. Jan the Staggy has sent a card to us, and I don't know if I can get one of our. I don't know if I've left it. I've left it on my desk, but she sent you a birthday card.
Off next week, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know if it's possible. I know this is a live show anyway, which is mad. I know I think Blair might be able to, our digital journalist might be able to come with a card, and also there's two cards there. And it's obviously Jan's written a wee kind of a nice wee thing to yourself, Ruffy. That's all right, isn't it?
That's the picture.
Yeah. And by the way, I'm going to read the next one out, which is Stephen Monroe shortly. But I think with a bit of luck, We'll get that card and read it to you as soon as it comes in. Simple as that. Let's not worry about it. Stephen Monroe says, "Hi Peter, you have by far the best World Cup squad, full of talented, superb footballers. Your team would serve up pure entertainment. Only question would be your choice of goalkeeper, considering all the greats that have been." And I think that's a fair point, Ruffy. I'm getting caned for... I'm getting caned for the Peter Schmeichel one.
Hugh wasn't too happy, was he, with that Schmeichel pick?
No, he wasn't actually.
I didn't like it at all.
Yeah, absolutely. And the funny thing is, the card is... I know, I can see the card. It's sitting right in front of where Blair is sitting right now, and I think he's got it. Well, there he is. Here comes Blair. Come on, Blair. This is it. That's it. It only says happy birthday on it, Ruffy. It's not exactly difficult. And yeah, okay, throw it, Blair. Throw it, Blair. Yep, have we got it, Ruffy? There we are. Oh, fantastic. And the producer saying, "Don't stand in front of the camera." Dear Ruffy, I love you. Can we meet? No. To Ruffy, best wishes on your birthday from Jan the Staggy. I'm so glad you have finally forgiven us for Blair Spittle, but I'm not sure if it's better for you to back us or not. I love all your crack on the show. Thank you. And that's for your birthday from Ross County as well.
Yeah, I have to say, that is my first birthday card, which I will put up on the mantelpiece, as you do.
Brilliant.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's wonderful.
You don't need to disclose your age. It's as simple as that. You can keep it to yourself.
Remember when you used to get birthday cards when you were wee? You never even let you just used to open them up and go.
I still do that.
A fiver or something.
Jan, I mean a fiver. I mean, honestly. I mean, there's not many poor people up in Dingwall, is there? It's an affluent area. I mean, come on, Jan. Anyway, thank you for that card. That was lovely. Okay, lots of things to talk about, so let's get cracking. A ban on drinks advertising on football shirts and inside football grounds. This is regulations being considered by the Scottish Government. There's a few people, obviously, gathering a bit of pace on this. Good thing, bad thing, Tam?
I'm not so sure if it's a good thing. I mean, people will be shouting at the TV thinking you shouldn't be advertising, drinking and gambling and stuff like that, but that's the kind of thing that brings money into clubs, into football clubs, brings money into Scottish football. So, if you're living in an ideal world where you don't advertise stuff like that, then fine, but for me, I would let it go because of the money that it brings in, the revenue that it brings into Scottish football, into clubs.
Can you just repeat that once more, Peter? You said that very quickly. What are they banning?
Drinks advertising on football shirts and inside football grounds.
I agree with Tam, 100%. I think you've got to bring income into the club. I think down the years there have been very heavy investors in football, and every club at this precise moment in time needs as much money as they can.
I mean, it's getting to...
is it really going to encourage you to drink if you see something on the front of somebody's strip?
Well, that's a longer debate. I mean, that's what happened with cigarettes. The influence on kids is understandable. I get that. If anything, I would like to see a more sustained campaign which highlights to kids from an early age the perils of excess. There should be a more sustained campaign on that, as I can hear my friends at Show Racism the Red Card saying, well, there should be a more sustained period of explaining to people, to avoid this whole bigotry, sectarianism, prejudice in many forms. We'll have to look at the furore over the World Cup being held in Qatar and what's happening over there. So there are so many areas where I think there should be more positive campaigns rather than thinking that banning everything is going to work. But in saying that, listen, it's not happening now, but it will gather pace, Ruffy.
Of course it will. There's enough people out there pushing whatever they want to push out there in front of everybody, and it just depends on how much they put into it, and but I think there will be people who have something to say about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Quite a lot of people wondering if I'd taken the 50 quid out of the card because I'd opened already. It's a good point. It's a good point, Tom. And also, I think Daniel Mack has got he sent a great message. Happy birthday to Ruffy when it comes. Another winter conquered.
Every time he gets it's getting some sort of jag.
My favourite story for last year, in my bank account, there was deposited some money, and I didn't know what it was because it was all the sort of wee initials and all that. So I went up to the bank, to ask the girl behind the counter, who I know quite well. I said, you couldn't tell me what this. It was a big queue. It was a massive queue, and I waited in the queue, and I got up the front, and I go out the front, and I said, can you tell me what this is? She said, I don't know what it is, Alan. Says, but I'll have a look at it, and give you a shout.
Is this money in your account?
In my account.
Yeah.
And as I'm leaving the bank, and the queue is even bigger, she goes, Alan. I says, what is it? It's your heating allowance.
It's your worst nightmare. Anyway, John Calder. Hi, Peter, Ruffy and Tam. I'm listening from Kuwait. Brilliant. John, great to have you on with us. It's absolutely first class, the amount of people who are listening near and far. The support has been absolutely superb. And thank you to so many of you who are offering your tuppence worth on the drink situation. It's a really tough one. And listen, not only that, I think Gallant has a good point. Alcohol is fine in moderation. Everything, it's all about trying to educate people. But I know some clubs have actually started to sell drink at the ground.
Yes, was it Celtic? Was
Yeah.
it last? I seen that. Listen, I didn't know you were allowed to do that, but obviously there's been a loosening of the rules.
There's a licence that granted it, so clearly it's a slow burner.
I know that Ron Gordon's is huge into that. He wants to, and I know it'd be the same at Aberdeen. The American owners. Listen, Ruffy played in America as well. I played in America. You all go into there's beer stalls. There's people can sit and have a drink at the game. Obviously that's America. We're in Scotland, and I think we drink more in Scotland than we do in America.
Yeah.
But over there it was great. You could have a hot dog and a beer and watch the game. If it was done here, would it work? I would like to think so, but I think there would be idiots that would let
Can I just say something to you?
down.
Does it not say more about our society that we can't conduct ourselves properly?
But it's the same in everything in football. It's always a minority spoil it. They're the ones who spoil it with the banners. They're the ones who spoil it with the flares. They're the ones who spoil it. And alcohol will be no different. There'll be some people who say, I'll go to the game and I'll meet you up and I'll have a couple of pints.
Yeah.
But there'll be people who will be in there for a couple of hours.
I think Hugh Scott has nailed it here. He says, Peter, it just smacks of virtue signalling from the authorities. So should Brownings who make the killie pie be banned from their shirts because of the obesity problem? Who's going to be left? I mean, that's a good thing, but Ruffy, if they hadn't had that advertising on the front of that killie shirt, I probably wouldn't have gone and had that extra killie pie. I'd have just been in a medium. I was heavily influenced, Ruffy. Have you tasted the killie pies?
Yeah, I actually did a competition.
Fantastic.
I went to every ground, every Premier League ground, and tasted the pies a long time ago. And I'll tell you who the winner was. We started off at Inverness and came all the way down, and the winner at the end of the day was Hearts. Hearts had got the
best pie.
Best
Well,
vote, yeah.
I think was Chris Robinson not the chairman then?
Possibly, yeah, might have been.
Yeah, they had a really good pie then, yeah. But killie pies are absolutely
famous.
fantastic.
Famous.
Yep. So there you are. Listen, Hugh, you make a good point. Can I just say before we get into the meat and bones of the World Cup, we're going to talk domestically about Giovanni Van Bronckhorst. He gave an interview to Sky Sports talking about a year in charge. We'll discuss that in a minute. But I want to give a special mention to Archie McPherson. He released a book last night called Touching the Heights, which was really kind of a reflection on some of the people that Archie had met along the way in broadcasting, in athletics and football, and his experiences with them. Because if anything, Archie's written I think maybe 10 or 11 top drawer books, but it was good to get a nice little personal touch into some of the people he'd met, the things that he'd experienced. And Hugh McDonald was the host, and I sat at the back, Ruffy, and thoroughly enjoyed the chat between the two of them, and the audience thoroughly enjoyed it as well. So it's a good book, Touching the Heights. Sometimes you just look for a stocking filler and you think, 15 quid, well worth it.
Oh, well worth it. I mean, he's been to, I read some of it this morning, he's been to nearly, what many World Cups has he been to? Covered World Cups, quite a lot.
That's a good shout. 14, I think.
14 or something like that, and the professionalism was always there. I remember when I was over in Florida, in Orlando, and he turned up one day, and he was obviously there on holiday, and he came in just to see about the place and everything. But he was there to do what Hugh does, to recce the World Cup that was coming up in America.
Yeah.
He was so far ahead, and looking into the venues and looking into making contacts, and and meeting people, you know. So when it came round, he knew where he was, and he was very, very thorough in everything he did.
Yeah, absolutely. As soon as we mentioned Kelly Pies, we're getting battered on here, which is good fun, Ruffy. I mean, I don't know if they're aware that they're never going to breach the shield, you know, because if we get a microphone in our hand, Ruffy, these guys are in big trouble, because we can leather them back, can't we?
What's he say? Go on.
Oh no, somebody... There's a really good one here. Piping says, I'm guaranteed Peter Pocket munches pies at the game. There is a guy who actually takes them and he stuffs them in his pocket. He takes
pies? The free ones at half time.
He goes in the press room and everybody laughs because they know he's doing it, you know. But listen,
do you remember the time we went to the Hibs Hearts game at Tynecastle and we're walking round to the gantry? We're just casually walking round. This boy quite high up and they went, hey Ruffy, catch this. I'm like, pie. Firing down to the top of the thing, splattered me.
Yeah, but listen, the way... Listen,
pick up me,
can I just say something to you? The way things are going economically, Ruffy and I will be stuffing pies, biscuits, tea bags, you name it, into our pockets. But anyway, thanks for the abuse. We don't mind the banter. That's what's good about it all. Last night, Ben Dokes. Start for the under-21s. God, he looks like a star and a half. But by the way, okay, it was an experimental side. We lost 2-1 to Iceland. Should we have been expecting a wee bit more? Have we seen enough of the other boys? Max Johnson scored. He's on loan at the moment, but he is a Motherwell player. Do you see some younger stars come through that could provide us with optimism for the future?
Yeah, I do. Obviously, I've coached a lot of the boys. Max Johnson, I coached him at Braidhurst. That's Alan Johnson's son.
Yeah.
Great lad, great professional. You know, really hard-working boy, and I was delighted for him to get the goal last night. He's obviously on loan to Queen of the South. But Ben Doak was the star of the show for me. I thought he looked electric. He's only 18, playing under 21s. It's clear to see how Liverpool have got such high hopes for him. You know, he's played in the first team already. Every time he get the ball, you know, he expected something to happen. He drifted by people as if they weren't there. He's so quick, but he's an end product as well. And I think if you look at him, Alex Lowry was very good in the first half as well. You know, boys like that with a wee bit of technical ability, they're the ones that catch your eye. Connor Barr in the middle of the pitch is doing really well at Aberdeen. So there was 3 or 4 in that team last night who I thought looked very, very good.
Is it time for Alex Lowry to really make a push to say, look, I should be at least given a run out?
Yeah, I think he will. I think obviously he had an injury. He's been playing the last couple of B games. I think the loan league continues during the break, so he'll be able to get more games in. So I think you'll see a lot more Alex after the break. I think that he's one that the Rangers supporters have got high hopes for. Yeah.
Ruffy, you know yourself, and you're probably more experienced about it than anyone, although Tam's mentioning he's coaching these youngsters and we see them at under 21 level, they have to make that step up, and even when you were there playing under 21s, under 23s, you know, you just hope they can make that jump up, but they've got to get first team action.
Yeah, you've got to get first team action, you've got to get in there, you've got to experience the ups and downs, you know, and that comes with playing games. We keep talking about youngsters should be playing 100 games before they actually think about going anywhere, and that's not the case now, because obviously finance, you know, determines when they leave. But you're right, you know, the only wee down thing these games was, unfortunately, we lost the under 21 team game and we lost the 19 to Iceland. So I'm just wondering if their teams at that age are getting better as well. So maybe we need to still be pursuing what we've got, you know, because I think there's a lot of other teams with young kids coming through are very, very good. Yeah,
the game is changing and evolving, and there's a high press, there's a high intensity about football, but I hope we don't lose at times. I think we have lost it for a few generations. I'd love to see technically gifted players. Have you seen a lot of that in the players that you're coaching, Tam?
Yep, I think there's a real shift in that in terms of technical ability. Non-Scottish players used to always be big athletes, getting about the pitch, but now you can see the way that Scotland play under 15s, 16s, 18s, 21s. I keep a close eye on all of them. You can see now that we're trying to play the ball on the ground. We're trying to get technical players into the team. Alex Lowry, Ben Doak, 2 great examples last night. So listen, I know the results, you want to win games, but it's not the be all and end all at that level. The be all and end all is to try to produce players that are going to go and play in the first team for Scotland, and I think we've got we've got guys coming through. We've got Patterson, Aaron Hickey, you know, guys like that, young players. Billy Gilmer obviously was in the performance school as well. I think they're starting to produce technical players, but it's going to take another maybe 3 or 4 years to get them all through.
Just a wee point that you'll know more than anybody. See these young boys at 15 and 16, have they all got agents?
Yep, it's amazing. I coach boys at Braidhurst at 12 and 13 who've got an agent, and I can't believe it. But these agents see these young kids, you know, as making them money. And you know a couple of boys at Partick Thistle who have played a first team game. Motherwell do it a lot as well. You know, boys at 14, 15 who go to big clubs in England, West Ham's, Man City's, teams like that, and they're getting, you know, big money. So that's why agents are picking these up. But I don't really agree with it. I think you shouldn't have an agent until you're playing first team football. But times have changed, unfortunately.
Yeah, can you imagine you with an agent, Ruffy? You would have been down at Man City, but now we'd never have seen you. You'd have been away.
Cheers.
Have they got PLZ showing on, didn't they?
Yeah, they would have had a Ruffy in his way. But anyway, apart from anything else, we've got a few people here. Somebody has actually just mentioned your top, Ruffy, just saying that, yep, great to see Ruffy with his favourite retro top on. So quite a lot of people like the one that you have. There, yeah. Roy Spears says Ruffy's got my favourite France top on. Do you remember what year is this from?
I don't know what year it's from. Obviously, it's
not 98.
After they won it, I thought this was a jersey the Platini and all them wore. Maybe not.
It's after that.
I know they've got the star on and they won it.
Yeah,
you know.
It could have been. It's got to be a World Cup top from after 1998, I think.
Okay. I don't know. I just found it something nice.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I might have bumped into the Zico Brazil one, but
yeah,
maybe €2,000 or something. Maybe 2,000 Trezeguet or something.
If you could find that, by the way, that would be. It would be a superb find, wouldn't it?
And
would you frame it or would you sell it right away?
No, if I found it, then I'd obviously have to get his phone number, Zico, and maybe meet up and get him to sign it.
Yeah, that would be.
And then flog it.
Then that's exactly it, Ruffy. So thank you very much to a lot of you for hitting the subscribe button. I'll let you hear from Kerry before we finish today on the show, again talking about the competition. We've teamed up with Greaves and Copa with a great competition. You can see some of the retro tops in the background. I like that one, Tam. That's why we got it today, the Boca Juniors one. It's a cracker, isn't it?
It's iconic colours. Yeah, Boca Juniors.
I'd love us to go to that game.
Yeah,
River. Boca Juniors against River Plate would be awesome.
Yeah, but I seen a video of the stand, one of the stands,
and
it was actually moving when they were bouncing up and down, and it's not been. I don't think I wouldn't want to go in that stand because I think that might collapse soon.
Yeah, will we just go on the ground level and take the rotten seats? Hospitality, nothing like pressure, by the way. Although I do know a guy who can get hospitality in Argentina, but the only thing is getting out of the country. So, Ruffy, is that the type of game that you would like to see, a derby like that?
Yeah, I think everybody loves those kind of derbies. You know, I'd like to go to the Milan one. I think the Milan one would be good.
It's great. It's fantastic.
Only bucket list.
It's fantastic. Actually, at one point I thought they were actually fighting against each other because it was just bombs going off in the place. There was firecrackers, there was flares. It was crazy. There was also a guy who'd get in a Vespa. How do you get into the San Siro in a Vespa, Ruffy? Do you know what I mean?
I don't know.
I mean, it was absolutely outrageous, but I absolutely loved it because Ronaldo was at his absolute peak. I watched the documentary that you told me to watch. It was fantastic. Honestly, the speculation over what was wrong with Ronaldo ahead of that, with Nike, with everybody suggesting that he'd maybe taken something that he shouldn't have taken, you know.
And some of the injuries he had with his knee.
Yeah, the ankle, you know, you name it. But what a wonderful, wonderful player, and a great documentary on him.
Yeah, it's. I don't know if the viewers have maybe seen it, but it's on. I think it's on BBC iPlayer or Catch Up.
Yeah.
El Phenomenon, and it's on for about an hour and a half, and it's tremendous. It shows you a real insight into Ronaldo, some of his injuries. You know, talking about the Argentinian manager, and not playing him because of the World Cup and stuff like that. I don't give too much away, but it's a fantastic watch if you're a football fan.
Yeah. Ronnie Chapman, clearly, you know, the last thing he can do at 4:30 is just, I can hear Ronnie's house right now, there's just a and he's just opened another can, and he started to get sentimental on us. That's the last thing we need in this programme, Tam. Yep. Anybody who's got that kind of a softness to them. And Ronnie said, PLZ, best show in Scotland. I love it and I look forward to 4 o'clock each day. Thanks, Peter, Tam and Ruffy. Ronnie needs to get back to the hard-edged, hey you three.
No, we need to find out. Find out where he lives and send him a wee six-pack. Just to keep him going.
We've already sent him your gloves. Ronnie won the competition and gave them away to, I think it was
charity
hospice.
Ardgowan Hospice. I think it was. It was a really nice gesture by him. So anyway, that was a nice compliment there. Here's another one. Giovanni Van Bronckhorst speaking to Sky Sports. Now, it's a year down the line, exactly 1 year, and here's the crux of what he was talking about. He said the loss at Celtic last season, the 3-0 game, that hurt. 2 days before Leipzig, he said losing Jimmy Bell, the kit man, I think it was difficult for everyone at the club. The emotions of losing the league last season, the Europa League loss was painful. There was a joy in winning the cup against Hearts. This season, he thinks Europe has damaged the team physically and mentally. He goes on to say, in the summer, losing players, loans, transfers, etc., it was difficult bringing in the 7 new players. One thing that he wanted to highlight, which was a positive, is Rangers reached the Champions League group stages with that win over PSV Eindhoven, which was absolutely vital to them. Financially huge, and he says we've got to be stronger in the transfer window. The discussions he's had with Ross Wilson about targets. As far as the year, he's enjoyed year one, the good, the bad, the difficult, the highs and the lows. What's your overall view of that, Tam?
Yeah, I think he makes some pertinent points there. I think that in terms of what he achieved when he first came in, I think his stock was incredibly high. Getting to the Europa League final was an unbelievable run for Rangers. They beat some top teams. We've seen how good Leipzig were this season against Celtic. Borussia Dortmund, and getting to the final. And listen, they're only a penalty kick away for winning it. So it's amazing the turnaround from then until now. I've said it a couple of times in this show. I think it would have been better for him personally if Rangers didn't get into the Champions League and they dropped into the Europa League, because I think they'd have been more competitive. I think they'd have got more points. Obviously, we're getting 0 in the Champions League, and I think I think that's damaged him. But what I would say is some of his comments, particularly after the Ajax game, when he said that he didn't think Rangers belonged at that level or couldn't compete at that level, I think would have damaged his players more than he thought. I think the supporters were unhappy about that, and I think they just rolled up the white flag when he said that. And I think they've been well outclassed in the Champions League, but I think he does make some good points here, and I think they've got to remember that Rangers did get in the Champions League and they got that money. If they didn't get in the Champions League, then financially they've been in a sorer position. But I still think he's under pressure, and I still think they need to try and make inroads into that gap that Celtic have got, or else I don't think he'll be there at the end of the season.
Well, Ruffy, we're always on this programme telling people, we offer opinion on things. Some people like it, some people don't. I've given my opinion on it. 9 points is too much. I think the league is gone for Rangers. As a manager, I think that he does deserve to have some credit in the bank with the board, and I think some of the board have been sensible in saying, well, wait a minute, we are always saying this whole knee-jerk reaction to some people, you've got to stick by them. But I think getting to the Champions League group stage was huge for that board, huge for the club. Secondary to that, I think when I look at their team, I think they've lost their way. I think they've lost their identity. I think there are players there that are not good enough to be wearing the jersey. I think they need to have a think about what is their identity, what way do they want to play, and start to get rid of some of the players that I think are becoming almost a distraction to the team. Morelos, for one, I think that whole thing needs to be nipped in the bud. The Morelos era has to be over, and they have to start looking and saying, okay, let's build this Rangers team. Here's how I want them to play. This is our DNA. This is how we're going to move forward. But it ain't going to be this season. And I hear some claptrap from former legends, just constantly just trying to put a positive spin on it. When you look at the games, Ruffy, and I see the game against St Mirren, they were really poor. That was not a Rangers team that I recognise with fight, with a bit of skill, a bit of flair. There was nothing there.
No, I can buy into most of the things he's come out with there. I agree with Tam to a certain extent that they would have been better in the Europa, but they needed to be in the Champions League. They needed to be there to bankroll everything they've done, and I've always given Rangers a pat in the back. Whoever put the money in to see the be all and end all is getting to the Champions League, and they achieved that, and it was a step too far. I think what has happened now, that for all that he said there, and most that you would buy into it, he's now under pressure game to game. your rivals can't be 9 points ahead of you. So every game now they go into, everything he does, every player he brings in, every player he gets rid of, you know, he's going to be judged on everything he does now, and that's something, you know, you've got to make sure you're right all the time.
Yeah.
You know, and I agree with you, the Morelos, and I would throw Kent into that as well.
I would sell them in January, Ruffy.
Yeah, I would. Kent, to me, was brought in, what was it, 7 or 8 million. And I think when he came in, we went, oh, this guy might be a 15 or a 16 million pound player.
Yeah.
You know, because obviously...
Charlie Adam not have him at 32 million at one point.
Yeah. But it's not materialised. And I think he is just, you know, what he is, you know, and I think Rangers they've obviously lost a lot of money in both of them, because at one stage their stock was so high. So every decision making now, and if it's the manager that's making them, he's got to make them right.
Yeah. I think that they need an injection of energy and pace in the team. I think that I seen a thing the other day. I think they're the second oldest squad in the league, and I think that's kind of shown at the minute. They've not got that intensity that they did, and I think it's just due to older players in the team. Players getting older, players maybe not as fit as they should be. We're talking about Morelos. I think they need 2 or 3 just younger. Just a wee bit of injection, a something in there, a wee bit of pace, just to give them. Yeah, but my problem with Giovanni's comments in the Champions League is quite simply, well, if you can't compete with those teams in the Champions League, how can St Mirren compete with you and almost defeat you in Paisley? How can that happen? Yeah.
You know, and he played the middle of the park. There was no creativity. I would have played a Davison and Arfield before I would have played, you know, Lundstrom in there, and there was nothing in the middle of the park creative that could have picked a pass. Lundstrom's playing square balls for fun. You know, I don't know about you, but you know, there's got to be a better position for him. If you're wanting creative players in the middle of the park, they should have had someone that could have picked a pass in there. They don't have that. And this whole going out left to Kent, maybe the overlap from Barisic, then the cross in, it's so predictable.
It's predictable. And it's, as you said, I think Kent's the only player in that team with genuine pace as well. So I think if you can snuff him, you know, there's a lot more creativity. I think Rangers are very dependent on Ryan Kent. Listen, he's a good player, but his numbers in terms of goals and assists have been miles off the boys at Celtic. So no, I do think that Rangers need a really, really strong transfer window, and they need to buy younger. Would
you place any faith in Ross Wilson being the man to get them? There's one player out of the 7 they signed that's made a contribution to them.
I think when you look at initially when Ross came in, I think the recruitment was spot on with Steven Gerrard, but this has not been a good window for him. The summer window there, not only players going out the door, but players coming in to replace him, they've not been good enough. So I think the jury's out a wee bit on Ross now, and it's only because I think he was successful at the start. But at Rangers, you can't afford to have a bad window or a bad 2 windows. Yeah. You know, because your rivals go ahead of you. And I think that the fact that Celtic have had really, really positive windows the last couple, you know, puts even more pressure on Rangers. So I think that Ross and the scouting network, the recruitment network at Rangers, will be scouring Europe, scouring the world, to try and bring in better quality than they did that window there.
Yeah, and as far as injuries, every team gets injuries, Ruffy, but if Herlander comes back, if Goldson comes back, that's certainly going to help the cause in the back line.
Well, the strength of Rangers and all of their success right through to the final was their defence. Was Alan McGregor being absolutely superb, making wonderful saves.
Goldson's a huge miss.
Golson, I know I'm not a big Hollander fan, but if you get Golson and Hollander together, it's better than what they've had for the last 2 months.
Yeah.
You know, so therefore if you've got 2 centre-halves who are very dominant, you're not going to lose as many goals as what you are.
Yep, absolutely. Of course, there are other things emerging from the Scottish Premiership. Might be your favourite club, Ange Postecoglou, miffed that he lost 2-1 to Sydney, and I think he had a go at a few of his team.
Yeah, I didn't see the game. It was on. I was working, I was coaching, but I seen the highlights. I seen the comments. Celtic had a kind of shadow team out. You know, there's a lot of players that he was giving game time to. Ideguchi, I think, is the first time I've seen him.
Yeah.
I thought he was brought in as a translator for the other guys, but he's not been cited at all. He played, but I think the bigger game obviously is Everton. I think they play Everton as well, so I think they'll play maybe a stronger team in that game. But I think that trip is to try and design to get, you know, players maybe some game time. It hadn't been playing, but think you'll see a lot stronger team against Everton.
Yeah, great line from Tam there, and the Idiguchi family are throwing things at the screen now.
Translator.
It's just your ultimate put down, isn't it? He's brought in as a translator.
He's not been near the team.
You don't need to explain. I'm with you on it. Calm your jets, Tam. It's a good gag. Charlie Mulgrew has been appointed first team coach at Dundee United. I think they'll need Charlie's experience, because I think Liam at the moment can't seem to get anything out of this United squad.
I think they need him on the park more than anything else. You know, it's very noticeable. They're very weak at the back. Not a lot of experience there when he's not there. But if he's decided, you know, he's coming to the end of his career, coaching seems to be the way ahead if you want to stay in the game, and you've got to start somewhere. And if he's been given that opportunity, why not take it?
Yeah, absolutely. We'll see if it makes any difference to the performances of Dundee United, who've been woeful, staring relegation in the face. They'll need to do something in that window as well. Although when you think about their wage bill, I wonder if they've got any leeway. St Mirren's Ethan Erahon has made a comment saying he reckons cutting the Old Firm allocation in Paisley has certainly helped the team. And when you look at the evidence of the two games they played, they've taken 4 points off Celtic and Rangers.
Yep, I think it would be great for other teams to do that as well, but you've got to have the numbers. You know, if you can fill your own stadium with your own fans, then absolutely perfect. Yeah. I don't think your Livingstons and Kilmarnocks can do that. Fair play to St Mirren. Obviously they're doing well this season. I think it would give you a huge boost. You know, I played in games, and you know, if you looked and you seen both ends of the pitch with away supporters, you know, it gives the away team a big boost. So I think he's spot on there, and proof's in the pudding. You know, 4 points out of 6 against Celtic and Rangers. Unfortunate not to beat Rangers. So St Mirren fans buying into it, buying tickets, and I think that would be the ideal situation for clubs, but other clubs can't afford to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd like to see it, Ruffy, because if that was happening, that would mean that more of the provincial clubs are getting more and more supporters to come and see them. I mean, the most difficult job, I think, in the entire league has got to be David Martindale at Livingston, to try and get a fan base from that area, which has got people going Hearts and Hibs or Celtic and Rangers. He deserves a medal for getting the team up there and at least trying to coax more people in.
Yeah, but I mean, as Tam said there, if you get a wee bit of success, you're going to buy, you know, more fans in, but you've got to keep that success there for them to turn in week in, week out. I mean, Tam was telling us that Hibs dropped the price there and there was 18,000. I never caught what the attendance was at the next home game, you know, so I don't know if that makes any difference, you know, because if you're not winning, people don't go to the games.
Yeah, absolutely.
Unless they're really, really loyal.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, on that point, Tam, you know, we only have to look at this week with regards to Lee Johnson. You know, there's been a lot of speculation about him, a lot of pressure on him, trying to defend the situation about players that he wants to come back from injury to contribute to the side as well. He's been under a bit of pressure, but I think he's going to get another transfer window to try and again shape the side into what he wants it to be.
Yeah, I think he has been unfortunate with injuries. There's no doubt about that. I think you know, Martin Boyle was obviously a big injury, but Aidan McGeady came in with obviously a huge pedigree in Scotland. You know, we've seen him at Celtic, done well at Sunderland. You know, he gets injured, you know, without really kicking a ball. So I think he was a big blow. Kevin Nisbet obviously knew he was injured. Yeah. He was out long term. But
what do you make of Alan Stubbs' comments today in the paper saying that, listen, if you sack him, Hibs are just going to be viewed as a Watford? You know, you get 19, 20 games and then you're getting the bill.
Totally agree with Stubbsy there. I think that you've got to there's got to come a point where you've got to give a manager time. And you know, they've sacked two managers in the last 11 months. You know, Jack and Sean Maloney. So I think that the fact that the owner came out and said that it was a mistake to sack Jack Ross would tend to indicate that he's going to give Lee Johnson more time, and you've got to give managers a couple of windows to try and, you know, shape their own team, their own side. But the Hibs supporters are demanding, as Ruffy knows, they're very demanding through there, and he's lost 6 out of 7. We've spoke about the next 4 games: Celtic, Rangers, Hearts and Livingston, you know, before, you know, the window reopens. So he's got to pick up points, and it's okay, you know, having credit in the bank and having a chairman that's patient, but if you go and lose A4 and you've lost 10 out of 11, I don't think any manager can survive that in this day and age.
What, can't survive what?
Losing 10 games out of 11, if Hibs lose the next 4 games.
Yeah, which brings me nicely to the Championship.
But your man, he wouldn't get a window in the Championship.
Who?
Hibs, if they dropped in the Championship. No way would they get a couple of windows.
Yeah.
He'd be gone.
Yeah.
These 4 games. If he doesn't take any of these 4 games, he's going to be down there.
Yeah, you think they'll pull the trigger?
I think if they were sitting in the eye, if they were second or third bottom, I think a lot of questions would be asked.
You think so?
If he's not winning any of the games.
If he doesn't win the next 4 games?
Yeah, because he doesn't win the next 4 games.
We spoke about that. He's got to take 4 points. You've got to take something. You can't lose the 4 of them. You've got to beat Livingston at home and maybe draw at Tynecastle. Celtic and Rangers
I was going to say,
tough games.
A tough run.
Yeah,
you know. But with that in mind, Ruffy, it's interesting that you say that because I'm looking at the last 12 games for Partick Thistle.
12? Well, you made it 12 now.
I'm looking at it like 3. So I'll go 11, right? I'll go 11. You've won 2 games.
11? Is there a lot of draws in there?
No, one draw. That's not good, Ruffy, is it?
Well, I'm falling into the way all the other managers say it.
Yeah.
When we were top of the league, we were the best team in the league, with the best players in the league, with the best squad, and then all of a sudden we lose 6 first team guys, and I mean 6 of the first team.
Yeah.
And but just the quality's just not there
to
be on the park. And
I'm glad you said that, Ruffy, because the manager Ian McCall reckons he's got the backing of the board.
I've never had one that's been so quick. You know, a lot of managers have went through it. There's 2 or 3 managers around just now going through it, far worse than me. So I've been here before many times, and I'm very aware. The board have been very supportive in terms of they know what sort of situation we're in. You know, and I think the vast majority of supporters do. Some, obviously, some don't.
Okay, there you are.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean,
have you given him the dreaded vote of confidence?
No, he doesn't need it. He just needs to win tomorrow, and you know, that's us back in it. We're not miles adrift for the top of the league. You know, and Inverness are a perfect example. I think Inverness should be first or second in that league, but I think they're worse than us. I think they've got about 10 players injured, and every team will suffer with injuries. You know, some more than others. I've said it all along. I always break the season into the beginning, the middle, and the end. I'd rather have this bit of form than now than have it at the end.
Yeah,
we had it at the end last year,
and
it was hard to take. So I'm hoping that when we'll get everybody back, we'll be back there.
Okay, here's the fixtures for Saturday in the Championship. It's Cove Rangers against Greenock Morton, Dundee against Hamilton Accies, Inverness will take on Ayr United, Partick Thistle against Arbroath, and Wraith Rovers against Queen's Park. A couple of really good games in there. So if the Championship is your viewing over the weekend, then hopefully you'll enjoy it. Let's hope there's a big crowd there for Partick Thistle against Arbroath. Chance for you to chat with Dick Campbell as well. Maybe go back over some old after dinner chat. What we're going to use, new stuff. Are you using new material for the new year?
Anytime Dick comes round, I always make a point of going in onto the park and having a wee chat. Yeah, it's good chat, as we all know. Past Partick Thistle manager, so he's got a lot to...
I have to tell you, when I was a reporter, he was the Partick Thistle manager, and he was great. He was great crack. He was
always hoping that Dick's deflated tomorrow after the game.
Yeah, absolutely. Gag number 354. Don't forget, we're collecting all of them for the end of season. We'll just throw them in just in a big long 25-minute video with tumbleweed coming across the front of the screen as Tam fires them in. It's almost as if he sits there and waits till he can. He's like Tam Cowan, isn't he? He just waits till he can jimmy the thing in there and then wait for the reaction. Okay, that's the Championship for you. Listen, before we start to talk about the World Cup, and get everybody's thoughts on this as well, I might as well let you once again hear from our reporter Kerry, who's giving you a chance to become part of the football family and get your just rewards in our fabulous World Cup hat-trick competition.
PLZ Soccer has teamed up with their friends at Grieve Sports and Copa to offer you the fabulous chance to win one of these retro World Cup shirts if you enter our new hat-trick competition. All you have to do is tell us who you think will win the World Cup, be crowned player of the tournament, and who will be top goal scorer. The person who gets all 3 correct will win a voucher to pick their own shirt from the Copa shop, and even if you don't get all 3 correct, you can still enter the draw by subscribing to PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. We have 6 vouchers to give away, so all you have to do is enter your answers in the comment section below or subscribe to our YouTube channel. Good luck!
Brilliant. Great sign off from Kerry there. Good luck.
Yes.
It's easy.
Yeah.
You pick your team that you think is going to win it. You pick your top scorer and player of the tournament. Put it in the feed, and also on our Facebook. We'll have it in there. We'll throw it out on TikTok. We'll throw it out on Twitter. You put it in there, and even if you don't get all 3 correct, if you subscribe to the channel, you're still in the hat.
Yeah. Well, I think Tam was just going to say there.
Right, Ruffy, what's your...
No, I have to think about it. I can't just dive in. I think the 3 of us should do it and see who gets the furthest.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think we should do that on Monday.
Okay. I'm going to go... Monday.
Monday, yeah.
Monday?
Right, let's think about it.
Right, let's think about it and see if we can get somewhere. And you can think about it too. And don't forget to fire in the feed on the programme. You might want to go for it early, or you might indeed want to hold off. But that's how you get into the competition. Fairly straightforward stuff. And even Brian's fired in right away. He says Brazil, De Bruyne and Mbappe. So there you are. There's
different teams. Yeah.
There's 3 right away, Ross. That's not a bad shout from Brian there, is it?
Mbappe was a bit disappointing in the last
Euros,
one.
yeah,
he was.
Yeah.
Brian, apart from that wee run he had early on in the first game, and he gave a boy 20 yards and stuff.
Yeah. Sean's gone Netherlands, Van Dijk and Harry Kane. Interesting choice there, Sean. But listen, Sean, you could win this. Hit the subscribe button as well, Sean. You're in the hat. It's as simple as that. Here's the quiz answer for you. We posed this question at the top. Name the only 2 teams to have won the World Cup once, Ruffy.
I'm going to go for England, and I'm going to go for Uruguay.
England and Uruguay. Tam?
England and Spain.
That's it. There you are, that's it. And he just has a look over there as if to say...
That's why I'm in the show. And that's why you're getting slowly phased out.
Ruffy he's bad man.
He must have seen it.
He usually reads it, doesn't he? I know, no, that's fine. It's Spain in 2010 and England in 1966.
I think Uruguay, I think about Uruguay, but I think they've won it. They were quite dominant.
Uruguay
They won it
one of the first ones.
Yeah.
I remember when
50s?
They won it twice.
Very first one.
They won it twice. But can I just say something to you? Which I did pose the question the other day there. Oh, 2 quick things before we leave the World Cup. I've got to just mention this. This has just come in, and I think it's a good little story which will be well worth going to. I don't know if you're going to be able to go to this, Tam, because obviously when there's a big Hibs event on, you know, if there's a wee backlash or something like that, then you pull out because you've got no spine.
Injury.
Yep, injury. You've pulled out of the Frank Soze match, haven't you?
My calf's gone.
Is it? Was it gone?
It's this Sunday that I've pushed it too hang me to get back 5 asides and I've pulled my calf.
Tell us some of the people who's gone.
Lee Griffiths is gone.
Yeah.
He's playing.
Is Gary O'Connor playing?
Gary O'Connor, Derek Ryland, John O'Neill's playing.
Yeah, Mickey Weir's playing.
Mickey Weir's playing, Kevin Harper, there's
Mickey's
fantastic.
John Collins?
John's no, I think he's away.
That's why you don't want to go in the dressing room, do you? You don't want him walking about.
The
six pack.
Tom hasn't even got a 2-pack. Well, this is another good one. Hibs are to mark the 50th anniversary of their League Cup victory over Celtic with a get-together at Easter Road next month. An audience with the 72 League Cup winners will have added poignancy, of course, with the passing of Jimmy O'Rourke. He scored one of the goals. Who scored the other one? Do you remember? Oh, come on, you're supposed to be a Hibby.
John Bartley.
Alan Gordon.
John Blackley.
Alan Gordon.
John Sloop. He was never that far up the park.
Aye, sometimes he would win.
Gordon.
Yeah. No.
Pat Stanton.
Pat Stanton. John Blackley's going to be there. John Brownlee, Alec Edwards, Jim Herriot, Pat Stanton. Brilliant. I mean, that's fantastic. It's on December 9th with an evening with the supporters, half a century on. It was the capital side's first success in the tournament at that time. Their first in a cup competition, of course, since 1902, and they've rectified that as well, as I know to my cost. That's a fact. That's going to be brilliant.
Yeah,
wee bit of nostalgia, Ruffy.
Yeah, I saw a photo on Facebook the other night there where they're all sitting at night time. It must have been after it with a wee glass of champagne, all the lovely green blazers on and their ties and everything. They looked very, very smart.
Yeah,
and
that was a year after you. That was a year after you won it at Thistle.
And there was a boy standing at the back in that team photo. And am I right in saying it's Ali Brazil? Ali Brazil, you're not
the Hibs player.
The Hibs player, Ali Brazil. I thought Ali must have been very young.
Yeah,
he'd be in that photo.
Yeah.
If it was Ali Brazil.
Okay. Now, can I just say, Brian has said, Peter and Tam show? Nah, no way. There's people.
Right.
That's the thing about it, Ruffy. There's no way that you're getting dumped right now.
Maggie got another pseudonym on there.
Yeah, can I ask you another couple of things, by the way, just quickly on the World Cup? Robert Rowan says, 1974, the only team that never lost a game in the World Cup but didn't win it, and that was Scotland. Archie McPherson said something interesting last night, which I wondered about. I agreed with him because I held this opinion for many years. I think the 1974 World Cup squad, no disrespect to you, Ruffy, I think that was the best squad we ever sent to a tournament. But I then have to quickly reassess it, because I remember you lining up in the game against Brazil in 1982, and near enough every one of those players had either played in the European final or won a European tournament.
I think there was 7 with European Cup winners' medals.
I mean, it's hard.
But I think 74, I think the guys that were in, the players were more experienced. I think a lot of them had been like Davy Hay and all them, and David Harvey and Wee Bremner and Lorimer. They were all top English football. Jordan, they're top players.
Yeah, so. Jordan was only 22 though.
Aye,
it's incredible, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it's a good argument. Is the 74 the strongest? Is 78? Is that a strongest side? Is it 82? It's all subjective. The 1998 team, I think, was called Dad's Army because they were Craig Brown had just picked a certain amount of players and that was it. And interestingly enough, on the Dad's Army point here, here's the players, some of the oldest players that will be playing in the tournament, possibly for the last time, Tam. Messi, 35. Ronaldo's 37. Suarez is 35. Lewandowski's 34. Modric is 37. Gareth Bale's 33. Benzema's 34. Thomas Müller is 33. Busquets is 34. And Di Maria, 34. That's not a bad crew of players, but they are all ageing players, but they're still playing to be playing at the top is incredible, isn't it, Ruffy?
I would say Modric could still stick in another couple of World Cups.
The cryogenically freeze him,
Modric at 45 still playing it with the outside of the boot. I mean, it just shows you though, doesn't it? It's incredible. Listen, we've all given our thoughts on who we think is going to win the World Cup. I hope it's Argentina. I'm going to stick with Argentina. Where are you going?
I'm sticking Argentina as well.
Yeah,
Argentina.
Yeah, we're all three of us. That's incredible, isn't it? I think Brazil are the favourites. You can give us yours. Stephen McNeil says Brazil, the winners. Jesus, the top scorer. De Bruyne, player of the tournament. So,
tell me the two of them can't meet in the semi-finals.
Oh, don't ask a question like that. We haven't.
How do we know the draw?
We don't even know the draw. The permutation.
I know, but
I know. There's a big
who's going to win the group. We don't know who's going to win the group.
If I've kept it, I'll bring it in.
Well, what are you asking the question for? Why didn't you bring it in? We could have actually got the answer.
Because I like to put you in the spot.
So anyway, Andrew Taggart is making us all feel old because he says, I was born on the day of the final, the 7th of the 7th, 74. Wow. So you've still got a few years in you, Andrew. Your best years are ahead of you. Enjoy yourself for that. Enter the competition if you can. Go onto our Facebook. You'll see the competition video up there as well. It'll be across all our social media channels over the weekend. We're going to run that competition, and hopefully with a bit of luck, you're going to be one of those winners of that fabulous competition as well. And I can tell you that over the weekend, we've got a great chance for you to get involved in our Fandex game. It's absolutely free to play. Look out for that as well, because basically we'll be giving you the chance to go on to the Fandex page and get involved by just picking countries. Absolutely free to play, picking countries that you think will perform well, and if they perform well, their stocks go up and you could win prizes at the end of each group stage. So that's going to be a great competition as well. We're really right into all the World Cup games and the competitions, aren't we, Ruffy?
Everybody loves a competition, don't they?
Yeah.
Everybody takes part, loves it.
Yep, absolutely. Anyway, thank you to each and every one of you for joining us today. It's been an absolute joy. A hectic day. Ruffy and I were up at the crack of dawn this morning. You never believe it, Ruffy. I parked the car, get out of the car in, I think it was Renfield Street.
Down at Greaves.
I was heading down to Greaves, and this boy came up to me and he went, "You're a comedian."
There you go.
I said, "No, I'm not a comedian." I'll take that as well. I said, "No, I'm not a comedian." He said, seen you somewhere before. And I said, oh, he says, what's your name? And I said, I'm with Ruffy. And he went, I know Ruffy, big pals with Ruffy. He's a window cleaner. And we sat there, we just stood there in the middle of Glasgow. I love Glaswegians because we just stood there and had a natter for 10 minutes, Ruffy, talking about cars, talking about football. It was great. And he knew you, he was big pals with you.
Yeah, I've met him a couple of times at some of the games and that, and I think he window cleans the whole of Glasgow. You know, like just every office, everywhere, you know, he's got every contact.
Was it a pain?
No! Honestly, you happy with that one? You've got him,
Set me up, Ruffy.
That is absolutely fantastic. And on that note, thanks to Tam, thanks to Ruffy, and from myself, we are closing the window on this show. Thanks for watching. Have a great weekend.